Okay, so we have half the hour. Hello and welcome to the last session of this day. Um, Understanding mod search and indexing. First of all, like a little disclaimer. Our motivation for the session was to share knowledge and have like more of a working centric meeting and not just a presentation. But of course, we prepared a presentation so that we can get into the topic and present our learnings during implementation of folio, inventory, and mod search. We have identified 4 points that we can use like as an anchor for our discussion. So we want to share our knowledge about and discuss how does mod search work, what do we have for customizations options, what should you consider when you do a reindex or a system upgrade, and what functionality is missing, or what would you wish that is there. Short about us. So it's me, Felix Hemme and Antje Niemann. We are working at the head office of GBW, which is called VCG. We are both library computer scientists, and our organization operates a large folio platform. So we don't have single server installations. We have a Kubernetes platform. We have now around 40 tenants running on it. So that's the production systems of the libraries. They are the libraries' test systems, plus, of course, a lot of our internal test systems. And the goal is that, we will host around 200 libraries. So that is 1 test system per library, 1 productive system, plus multiple test systems. So it will be around 450, 500 tenants running on this platform. Therefore, of course, everything around scalability, reliability, and performance is really important, and also for mod search. We are working a bit differently. I know a lot of you, like Laura, might know. We directly store our bibliographic metadata plus holdings and items in mod inventory storage. And we update it by a proxy module called mod inventory update. It is also part of folio complete, so the flower release. We don't have any mark in SRS, so we don't have any experience with indexing marks, so just to mention it. And we don't store any authority records in folio because it is not necessary for the scope that we've defined for inventory. So there are now 2 slides defining the core components, starting with Elasticsearch or OpenSearch, and then mod search. And Elasticsearch and OpenSearch is the search engine technology behind what we are using for searching inventory. And all the data is then being indexed. And that is regardless of the source of the metadata. So it doesn't matter if you have marked data populated in SRS and then written into mod inventory storage or folio metadata. It all ends up in Elasticsearch or in OpenSearch. Since Kiwi, that seems like quite a long time ago, it has replaced the search that was previously based directly on PostgreSQL. And because Elasticsearch switched their licensing model from being open source or free to being more like proprietary, and the community then decided to switch to a free fork that has then been created called OpenSearch. And both are supported. And interesting side note is that Elasticsearch is back and open source again. The second thing is then mod search, and mod search integrates with Elastic or OpenSearch and offers probably more advanced search capabilities of what we previously had with PostgreSQL, better performance, and it is just built for searching through a large collection of resources, and even larger collections when you think of the web and websites. It provides search functionality for instances, holdings, items, and authorities. And you can, with search, I include searching and browsing and all the facets. So that's all meant as a search here. Directly in the UI, of course, and there's also the REST API. Indexing and searching can be configured at least a bit. We will get there to it later. And mod search uses CQL, that is the contextual query language, as a query language. I won't go over every link here, but just for you, if you are taking a look at the slides after the conference, there is some documentation in technical documentation in the GitHub README, also mod search documentation, and a lot of stuff in the Folio wiki. That is why we put 3 dots at the end. So the list is not complete. Really good, if you have any questions, is always the metadata management Slack channel, because there isn't a dedicated mod search channel, or at least we couldn't find one. So if you happen to know any channel, then please let us know. Maybe there's a close one. And also there is a dedicated Jira, what's it called? Jira project, or yeah, in the Folio Jira. And I thought it might be interesting to look at the metadata update from mod inventory storage into mod search, and then open or Elasticsearch, and how this is performed, to get a better understanding on the operation and process. So in order to use mod search and inventory, the sysops have to install Kafka. That is the event streaming service, and that is there to communicate changes from mod inventory storage to the open search index. And that is working like with Kafka events, so that you each change of a record in mod inventory storage will create a Kafka event that describes the change itself. And these events are then published in a Kafka topic, and contains the information about the type of change. So might it be an insert, an update, or delete of a record. And the data that has been affected, so the actual data that has been changed. And then mod search is configured to listen to a topic, and that is this topic that publishes the updates. And if it then receives a message from this topic, mod search is starting to process it and updates the index then. And yeah, that makes it possible to always search the most recent version of a record. There is, of course, an exception. So, and you might have experienced it if you perform like a reindex of your index, then this, of course, takes some time. So it might be that you can't search on the most recent version of an inventory record. If there are a lot of records in the queue, then you have to wait until the record you are searching for has been processed, because the Kafka queue can be quite large. That was a question that came up when we did some discussion internally. Why do we not, or why hasn't it been decided that the changes are communicated directly via an API? And it sounds like because mod inventory storage is the source of truth for all those changes has to be really fast, so that when you go to inventory, you edit a record, you save it, then you don't want to wait for mod search index to be updated. So you want to save it, then this version number is incremented, and any other process can then already touch the record. So yeah, that is what here is called as asynchronous processing. So this is being done afterwards, but the record is being released and can be touched by another process. So that was just some theoretical, I don't know, mod search 101 stuff, but now Antje will go much more into detail.
Yes, thank you. Here are our findings or our experiences and experiments with mod search and indexing. Let's start with the all index. Yes, someday we recognize that we have this search key in our drop-down menu, and we saw, okay, when searching with it, it leads to no results, no matter what we searched for. And then we first thought, okay, we are using this search for circulation and acquisitions. Maybe we just erase this not working possibility from the drop-down menu, but we were not able to find the setting, the configuration for it. I think there is no real possibility for libraries to choose what keys are proposed here. But then, of course, we saw in the README of mod search, I think it's the best documentation you find about searching. We could read that search by all feature is optional and disabled by default. By default, it is put into the drop-down menu, but by default, it is disabled. But it can be enabled for a tenant by post request to this API. And if you post this body to the API and just tell the system that the feature search all fields shall be enabled, then the all index is filled. Another possibility is to use this global environment variable. Search by all fields can be enabled globally by passing to mod search environmental variable. Search by all fields enabled true. Then from the beginning on, it is all indexed, when the all index. Yes, when it is enabled, the all index can be used for inventory searches, but only for those records, of course, that have been edited since the activation. And therefore, it is usually necessary to re-index in order to make the existing metadata available. The good news is that re-indexing is possible and easy to do. That was our next experience. First, I want to say that if you want to deactivate this process of indexing, then you can do this by sending a delete request to this API. But then you must find a way to erase the all choose from drop-down menu. Okay, recreating the index can easily be done by posting against the API search index inventory reindex. And you have different parameters. A very important one is the one that is called recreate index. And it is named a little misunderstanding, I think. Misleading, that's the word. Thank you. Yes. Recreate index can be false, which is default, or true. And if it is set to false, it means that the old index is kept until the new index is built. That's a good opportunity because you can do it during the day then. And the other possibility is if you say recreate index true, it just means that the existing index is dropped, then you can search nothing, and then it is built from scratch. Yes, and the parameter is called recreate index, but we think it should be, the better name would be drop down existing or drop existing index. This is what is meant. Okay. And there's another parameter, resource name, but we have never used it. We hope that one of you have experiences with it. By default, it is set to instance, and that means that all instances, holdings, and items are indexed. We are fine with it. We do not have authority records in our system. We don't know, and we were wondering what location means because could be interesting. We have never tried it, and we thought we ask you here in the audience. One of you have experience with it. And there are also linked data resource names.
I know we have a location value in our holdings data. And it's used, we can filter by it. I don't know if that's that location.
We can also filter on location, maybe.
Yeah, I was wondering about the same thing, but location is part of the holdings record, so the UUID. So I thought maybe it is related. Could it be related to browse? But we can't browse by location, right?
No, is it a consortial thing?
Maybe we have to bring it back to MMSIG because the documentation is lacking any explanation of the values given there. So it's just like logic, and instance should be maybe inventory and not instance.
Right, because it's, if instance means instance holdings and items. That doesn't make sense.
Yes. But we are happy with recreating via post against this API. And sometimes, mostly we recreate with false, but there are some situations where we have to use true. For example, if the data structure is changed or so, and or you think the index is broken in a way, then you may decide, okay, next night I create a complete new index, and then you can do this by recreate index true. Put this in the body of the post. Yes, when you start recreating of the index, you get a new UUID for the process, and you can search with this API for this UUID. But what you get as a result is not really helpful. You get this answer, and first we thought, okay, here's published, and this is the number of already indexed titles, but it is not. It is just the number of the staged titles. This means all titles that should be indexed. That's the complete amount of the titles you have in your database. It's absolutely not helpful. But you have it. So we think monitoring of the indexing process is not really possible for us. Yeah, the information about the progress of the indexing process is missing, and also the end time. You always have to look it up and then, okay, it's finished. So maybe it lasted less than 3 hours or so, but it would be great to have the exact time and not to look at it again and again and again. So, yes, maybe we do not really know where we can find this information, but we don't know, and we don't know who it is.
You can check the Kafka offset. So when all messages from the Kafka queue have been consumed by mod search, it means that all the events are processed and all our instances have been reindexed.
Yes, but if in the meantime the libraries, okay, then yes, if it works at night, then
must have the access to the Kafka broker to send the API calls to Kafka broker and to receive the response.
What do you say to that?
Again, you said if there is any other activity besides that on the system, you might need to have. Yeah, you could say if the queue is pretty stable, if you just fire it away in one big block, you can say, okay, the last message that went out might probably marks our end time of the whole process here. It might go.
And yesterday it has been brought up from Minus, I think he's from Linköping in Sweden, that he found out that it's also not possible to stop the reindex. So that was something we haven't even considered, because if we send it, we want to update it, but you could think of you send it with recreate index equals false. Oh, I selected the wrong tenant from my Postman environment, for instance, and then you want to stop it and run it again. So there's no way to stop.
And if you cannot really see if there's already running a process, I thought if you start it again, recreation, then the old job stopped and you started again, but that's not the way how the things should work. You don't know if there's a process running and can start it again. Okay, so next page. Yes, there is a language analyzer. Each tenant is allowed to pick up to 5 languages from a pre-installed list. And yes, standard or default is English. And you can post further languages, up to 5 further languages via this API. Yeah, and you can find a list of pre-installed language analyzers on the mod search README, in the mod search README file. Yes, we do not really need it because librarians search with barcode or ISBN and stemming and things like this. I think we do not really need it. But if you add a language, then it requires also a whole reindex. And in a status folio, initial languages can also be defined via environment variable, initial languages, and then a comma separated list of maximum 5 languages can follow. If the variable is not defined, nothing is posted, the AIM code is the default one. Okay, then we are interested in yes, the amount of titles that are in inventory storage and if all these titles are indexed via mod search. And there we have different API requests we use. We are not really sure which is the best. We read in the README file that the CQL request for all records is a very fast one. And you can, yes, the inventory amount request via instant storage API. And that's the one from mod search here. And yes, if everything is okay, then both numbers are the same. Don't know if you do this, you can do it in your system and then you can see if mod search is working well. Yes, do one of you know which are the best, fastest request? Okay, then, yes, of course, if there is a difference between these 2 results, then of course we want to know which titles are concerned. And therefore, this colleague here and my other colleague wrote a little Python script that compares both results and gives us the records that are not in both results. Yes, sum it up, our use of mod search in GBV is, as we already said, we are using mod search for indexing of inventory records, for searching in inventory app, of course. As I said, we just have the default resource name parameter instance installed. We are using it in combination with OpenSearch. We have the all index now as on stage. As language analyzer, yes, we added the German to the standards here from Germany. And we think the default settings seem to work well in most cases. And I already mentioned the Python script for, yes, finding the discrepancies between miss and mod search. Yes, and yes, our reindexing, the last we did lasted less than 3 hours for 4 million titles. It was fast. But we did it with, we dropped the index down, maybe it's a little, I think it's a little faster if we recreate with true. Was my, but I'm not really sure.
I haven't compared.
Yes.
My impression was it was so fast. Okay, that's it from our side. Now we have time for discussion and knowledge sharing. Do we have any, yes, any comments or what are your experiences or questions? Yes, please.
Can you say anything about truncation?
Truncation is implanted on the right hand.
Die Truncation ist abgeschnittene
Ja, ich weiß. Ja,
Teilstücke von.
ja.
Well, there's been some problems with the truncation not working as you would suppose it were. Oh,
So maybe it's
right, truncation that were the start of the it's been solved.
it should work, I think, automatic. Yeah, no, you have to put a asterisk behind the,
Yeah, but you just type a word and put an asterisk.
and it does not work.
Then find every record that has the word and something else. You only find when we found records where that word was at the beginning of the field.
Just at the beginning.
I'm not aware of the realization of the search term, but might be necessary to add and start in front of the word and then.
Yeah, but there's been a year.
I don't know. I'm just asking.
I'm sure.
But it should work. Maybe if you use browsing the title, then it must be at the beginning.
Is there a title? There isn't a title.
Is there? It's okay then.
No, I don't find searching in inventory reliable at all, but there's some improvement with the advanced search. Because there's a contains or I should.
There is a starts with.
There's a starts with that's wonderful. Contains all exact phrase starts with, and when it was when I was first using it, it was interpreting Boolean operators as Boolean operators rather than as words, but they fixed that. What you can't do though is nest. So you have to have a fairly simple advanced search in order for it to work. But it is much better than the default searching.
And from the discussions in the MMSIG, I think I vaguely remember that using truncation, so right or left truncation, doesn't matter right now. Could it be that it isn't implemented for all indexes? So that it's just like keyword search, title search, but not some of the other options? So maybe you should try in keyword search, or was that the index you used? There are all those indexes you can select from the list when you are searching. And it might be that a truncated search is not possible in every index. So maybe it's just possible in, I know it's possible in keyword search, so that should work.
Yeah.
But if you've used, I don't know, instance nodes all, maybe it's not implemented in the set place. But that's just, I'm.
Is there any documentation about this? About all the indexing search?
There is like the.
Documentation tells you what the element means, but
In the README,
I don't find our style for our documentation very useful.
yeah, you will see in the README from what search, you will have a list of all the fields. And then you have the type of field. So it could be full text field, for instance, or some other thing. But there's no explanation what that really means. So what is the difference between all the options? So yeah.
In some cases, the like an identifier, I don't think you maybe you can truncate. I know that
Oh, you can.
you can.
At least identify us all.
Okay,
I believe it's the terms that you can truncate, whereas the
Yes.
full text is doing the more complex kind of solar, indexing where it's doing all the kind of breaking up of things is all done. hand wavy magic or something. They don't make that part visible.
But what we can at least tell is that there isn't an option to activate it or deactivate it. So if it's not working as you would expect, there could be an issue in your installation, in your folio tank, or an issue with the implementation itself. So
But there's an issue for the deregulation.
yeah.
Engagement with the project. And whatever.
Are you self-hosting or
Sorry?
are you self-hosting?
Yes, of course.
Oh, yeah. Otherwise, I would have,
Yeah.
you could have tried to create a ticket for your hosting.
It's not a big problem.
Maybe later you can give me an example of the type of search and I'll see if I can recreate it in my environment, just to have that.
And then I also for authority UUID, we do not, our libraries do not have authorities, so it would be good to raise it here, and if in a course, it would be good to understand what fields are behind all these search keys. It is great that Folio comes with this with all this pre-installed and ready, of course, but would be great to understand it.
I noticed that before, why is authority UUID in inventory? That's it. Authorities are in a different app, aren't they? So what would you, and we don't store authorities either, so I don't know what you would expect to retrieve searching that.
And I wonder if you have the linking where you actually do.
Oh, is it searching within the field in the
That's what I'm wondering.
Except that would be in the mark data, that wouldn't be in the, there's nowhere to put a UUID in the instance data right now.
I'm wondering, the way it displays though is, it does display sort of as a link. So I'm wondering if that's somehow in the.
But they changed it a few releases ago, so there are now 3 fields. We have subjects, contributors, where there's a new property called something like authority ID. But it's invisible in the UI, so it's not a text field that is displayed, but it's just in the season JSON schema.
And who's the person or the group we can ask for all this? Is it the SIG, is it the MSIG, or is there any development team that is responsible for this? Who knows this?
So I think I can comment. I believe that you can reach Kalila, and she's a product owner for this search. And also there is a dedicated team that is responsible for search, and I believe you can address all the questions that you have.
Yes, and we can look at the Jira tickets where we will perhaps find the names and the team.
It's Kalila.
Yeah, Kalila, genau, and the development team is
Spitfire.
Spitfire, okay.
The development team for this.
Yeah.
And if you have questions, in that they will be having field.
Yeah.
And again, currently they are working on their refactoring or reindex procedure, because initially, when all the initiatives started, the number of fields was limited for indexing, and the index didn't contain the child records like contributors and subjects. They were not the part of the index, and currently they are. And because of that, the indexing approach isn't efficient, and they reworked the approach how they prepare data for indexing, and it will improve performance. And the indexing will run faster. It depends on your models, but again, they run tests for 8 billion records, and for the environment, all version took up to 4 hours, and the improved version takes 2 hours and a half.
Hmm.
So it should be quite significant improvement for indexing if you have big volumes of data.
Yes, or 2 or 3 or 4 hours. I think everything is very good for indexing such a big amount of titles. But what about the performance of searching? Is there any problem with it? No, we have no problems with.
And again, if you have big volumes of data, enabling that feature, all fields will increase the size of the index.
Yeah.
And if your instances, if boxes or containers, hardware that you use, if those have limited number of resources, especially memory, and OpenSearch works efficiently when it have enough memory and when it can put all the index into the memory. And when you increase the size of the index, enabling that all fields, it means that all index can fit into the memory and performance of the search will be slower, sometimes significantly slower, because it has to load the data from the disk into the memory, swap it back, forth and back, and things like that.
So perhaps we shall then try to erase this opportunity from our list and then skip the whole index. If we would do.
It depends on how many memory you have in the cluster.
Yeah, of course, we have enough memory to throw it in this, it's all.
Yes, but it's a question of whether we do it.
Do you know some numbers? So like say 5 million instances plus holdings plus items will with all index activated will result in 5 gigabytes or 10 gigabytes.
I do not know the exact numbers, but I know that the performance team, they did the performance check for indexing, and there is a report on the Confluence. You can ask Kalila of FAR, and they will share the report, the performance report they have procured recently.
And we were also wondering if choosing 5 language analyzers has any impact on the performance.
Of course,
Yes.
because adding more languages means you extend the size of the index.
Yes.
The authority UUID search does retrieve an instance record if you have linked it to an authority. It is tested in process.
And then it is useful for some others.
Who wants to copy a UUID? No.
For now, it's the only way to get an exact match on contributor, and if you have a common name like John Smith, There is something in chat from Lynn that she would like to have advanced search expanding to also include holdings and items. And I wasn't even aware until now that it's just on the instance, but yeah.
I think it does work for holdings and items. You just have to select holdings or items.
Right.
And then click on advanced search, whichever.
But you can't combine them.
You can't combine them. No, you can use query search. Yeah.
If you're willing to spend the time figuring out CQL.
Yeah. Yeah, that is the only that we can combine. And you can also, you can do an advanced search and then filter, but that's not the same as being able to combine instance and holdings properties.
Any more findings or questions? I think we shall reach out for Kalila really and the Spitfire team and yes. If there are no more questions or comments, it is already late. Then yes, we would like to thank you for your attention. And yes, bye bye.